You ever come home expecting peace and instead walk right into a circus? Except this time the circus is on your own lakefront property and the ringmaster is screaming that you're the one trespassing. Yeah, that happened to me. These strangers, their tents pitched all over what was supposed to be my sanctuary, treating my inherited place like it was their own private resort. Meanwhile, the HOA president is strutting around barking orders and collecting cash like she's running a five-star campground. It would have been hilarious if it hadn't been so infuriating. And honestly, that was just the beginning. I'll back up a sec. See, this place, this lake house meant everything to me. My parents built their whole dream here, mom's garden out by the water, family barbecues that stretched way past sunset, laughter echoing across the shore. After they passed, I held on to it, kept renting a shoebox in the city, promising myself I'd go back when I was ready to face those memories. Thought it'd be peaceful, maybe even healing, but what I found instead was chaos, the music, the shouting, the wreckage of everything my family worked for. I just stood there staring at my mom's garden, torn to pieces, tire tracks where her roses used to be. I swear it felt like somebody reached into my chest and squeezed. But I hadn't even seen the worst of it. My lakefront, the one place that ever felt like home, looked like it had been hit by a hurricane and a state fair at the same time. Tents everywhere, RVs lined up like it was Daytona generators, roaring over the sound of birds. Trash overflowed out by the water, stale beer and smoke in the air. And there in the middle of it all was Miranda Walsh, the HOA president white polo with HA stitched right over her heart, cash box swinging from her hand like a scepter. Watching her stroll from campsite to campsite, demanding $30 a night in fees, you'd think she owned the land. She made it sound official. 2 quiet hours start at 10, family-friendly only, cash only like some Walmart manager who'd taken a few online legal courses. But here's the kicker when someone asked about the property's history. Miranda laughed, waved it off, said, "That's ancient history. The HOA runs this now." She told everyone she had all the authority in the world, claimed paperwork was outdated, that she managed this place for the community good. And folks just believed her, handing over their money, following her rules like sheep. My blood was boiling, but I knew I couldn't just run in swinging. She had this whole act down to a science. If I made a scene, I'd look like the crazy one. So I did what any good software engineer would. I gathered data, license plates, video footage, cash exchanges. Sat in my car watching her make bank off my family's legacy, all while my mom's broken garden chair sat in the passenger seat. I couldn't believe this was real. How had Miranda managed to convince an entire neighborhood this was hers? How long had she been pulling this off? How much cash had she pocketed? More importantly, how does a mild-mannered guy like me, armed with nothing but a deed and a lot of rage, take down someone who'd spent a lifetime twisting rules? But you know what happens when your back's against the wall and someone tries to steal your soul along with your property? You get cold determined. I wasn't going to charge in, no. That's what Miranda expected. I was going to beat her at her own game. So the next morning, instead of work, I loaded my car again and drove back to the lake, drone in hand. From up high, the damage was even clearer. Garbage human waste, where there shouldn't be Miranda doing her rounds like a mob boss. I recorded everything. Then I paid a visit to my neighbors Thomas and Susan Rodriguez, sweet older couple gardening out front. When I told them I was the actual owner, Susan just sighed, said, "You better be careful." Mrs. Walsh fined a guy $200 just for hanging his flag a day early. Thomas added, "She's been claiming HOA control for months, but her paperwork never made sense. They weren't the only ones suspicious. Next door, a college kid named Dylan had already started poking holes in Miranda's story. With that in mind, I pitched my own tent at the edge of my land just to see what would happen. Sure enough, within an hour, Miranda called the cops on me for trespassing. You can't make this up. When the officer showed up, I calmly handed over my deed tax records and ID. Miranda, on the other hand, tried the same intimidation routine she used on everyone else, but the cops weren't buying it. They saw through her act immediately. One of them flat out asked, "Ma'am, are you charging people to camp on land you don't own?" For the first time, Miranda was speechless. The officers took my side, of course, and said they'd look into the illegal camping. Miranda just stood there stunned. But you know bullies, they don't give up after one punch. Over the next few days, she turned up the heat. Letters from the HOA started arriving at my door, noise violations, environmental contamination, all fake. Then out of nowhere, my boss started getting calls, anonymous complaints about me. Miranda had gone full scorched earth trying to destroy my reputation and pressure me out. Thing is, the more I dug into her background, the more it made sense. Turns out she was a former lawyer who'd lost her license for billing clients for imaginary work, her whole identity built on intimidation and legal bluffing. That's when I set my own little trap. I posted a notice on the community bulletin board suggesting the camping area be shut for safety inspections, hinting at thousands in lost revenue and the need for qualified authority. Miranda Bit Hard posted a fiery response, doubling down, insisting she alone had the power. She was unraveling and everyone could see it. But the real twist, Dylan, that college kid, became the catalyst. Next weekend, as Miranda went to collect his camping fee, Dylan calmly asked for official documentation, HOA proof, legal right to charge. The moment he said he'd checked county records and saw no such authority, Miranda snapped. She screamed, shoved him into the mud in front of 24 campers, the HOA maintenance guy, and most crucially, my phone recording everything. Just like that, she'd crossed from fraud into assault and everyone saw it. The cops came, same ones Miranda tried to manipulate before. Now the roles were reversed. Dylan, calm and collected, told them the truth. The HOA worker Tony backed him up. Other campers started speaking up stories of threats, inconsistent fees, intimidation. The police put it all together: illegal business assault, years of bullying. Miranda went from HOA queen to handcuffed defendant in a matter of minutes. As word spread, the community turned. Folks shared stories about years of harassment, fines for chalk drawings, threats for hanging laundry. Miranda's supporters vanished. The HOA board called an emergency meeting, and the turnout was massive. I watched as Dylan was thanked over and over for his courage, just for daring to ask for proof. Local news picked up the story: HOA president arrested for assault, fraud, and theft. The investigation snowballed. Miranda had pocketed tens of thousands in illegal fees, laundered HOA funds for her own benefit, and ruled by fear. She lost everything: her job, her house, her reputation, even her freedom. The new HOA board implemented strict transparency. Every dollar accounted for, no more unchecked power. Dylan, once a shy camper, became the youngest board member ever, launching initiatives to require full documentation for all HOA actions. 6 months later, my mother's garden is blooming again, the lake house is better than ever, and the community feels alive, free. Dylan visits with his nephew to fish and camp the right way. Thomas and Susan share stories, and the new neighbors hold barbecues where laughter drowns out any echo of the old regime. Miranda's nameplate, broken and discarded, says everything. Funny, isn't it? Sometimes all it takes is one simple question. Can I see the paperwork to bring down a bully's house of cards? Miranda thought power could hide everything, but the truth always wins in the end. The best revenge: letting someone show their true colors in front of everyone they once controlled. So now I gotta ask, where do you stand? Was justice finally served, or did the punishment not fit the crime? Do you think communities can really change when one bully falls, or does someone always fill the power vacuum? Drop your thoughts below. Let's get this conversation going. And if this story hit home for you, hit like and share it. It helps more folks see what happens when regular people refuse to be pushed around. Thanks for sticking with me through the mess. Here's to the next chapter, whatever it brings.